Hello all, and welcome back to First Impressions. Now today, we're doing Frankenstein, and I've never seen Frankenstein before. It's the first time watching it. I've never actually seen any of the old Universal monster movies. Which is why I decided I'm going to watch them and do reviews like this. Well, at least I try. So, I mean, if this video doesn't seem like it works out, I'll just do a different thing instead and just watch those on my own time. I don't really have a lot of time to do that, thanks to my streaming, but, I stream. If anyone's interested in say so, and I'll post the link in the, I'll add the link to the description and put it in the comments or something, I don't know. Completely on topic. Okay, so, I was always curious, how good are these movies? These classic Universal monster movies. And, okay, I think it was a good movie, but it just didn't really draw me in. Part of that's the black and white disconnect that tends to happen with these movies. The only time I've never really, experienced that, because I have trouble really emotionally connecting when it's black and white. There's just something there blocking that. I can respect the work put into it, I can respect a lot of things, I could even enjoy it to an extent, but there's always going to be that emotional disconnect. But it was still a fairly good movie regardless. I did actually manage to enjoy it in the end. It just, I wandered off and thought a lot during it. Like, what would happen if the brain mix-up didn't happen? Which, I knew about that ahead of time thanks to Cinemassacre's reviews of the movies. Yeah, I watched other people watch it, but I realized I've never actually watched them myself. But yeah, what would happen if the brain mix-up didn't happen? How quickly would a normal brain adapt to the situation? Because it's entirely possible things would have played out the same, because Fritz is a... How do I put this? Yeah, I was trying to find a way to say it without cussing, but frick it. He's a fuckhead. Like, so many things are his fault. He drops a brain. He, he freaking torments for no good reason Frankie. I know he's not called Frankenstein, and I know some people are would throw a hissy fit if I called the monster Frankenstein. But I grew to actually like him throughout this movie, and mostly pity, but I do like him. So I don't really feel like, dehumanizing the character. So, Frankie. Plus, it's what he was called in the Alvin and Chipmunks movie. Man, I need to rewatch that. Later. If he hadn't tormented Frankie, it's very likely he could have learned to adapt eventually. Would he have turned out a good person? What would have happened? So all those ideas plagued me throughout this movie, just because it makes the fact that I pity the monster. I do. Like, look, the only real bad thing he did, in my opinion, was drowning a little girl, and he didn't understand what he was doing. He's basically a mentally handicapped man. Except he doesn't even have the little life experience someone with that level of mental handicap has. He's like a mentally handicapped toddler in the body of a man. That's a much better explanation. He's not a bad person. He's not very much of he's not a good person because he's not either yet. He hasn't had a chance to truly become something before, well... I just pity him. And also, there's the fact that I actually agreed with the doctor for the movie, because... Yeah, it's like I addressed. There was a scene where they're talking to, Dr. Waldman, I think that was his name. And it sounds like they're implying he was killing people to harvest parts, but I've never heard anything about that before, even in other people's reviews of it. So, did he or did he not? Because if he didn't, then yeah, I have seen nothing wrong with anything he did up until, you know, he let Fritz stay in the room with that thing. With him. God, Fritz was such a fuckhead. I'm like, seriously. So many things in this movie are Fritz's fault. Something that I don't think mentioned is, lots of people like to do the lightning strike. It's alive thing, but nobody ever mentions the Great Ray. He talks about it, like there's this, like, the thing that's responsible isn't the lightning. It's something in the lightning storm. It's a form of light that grants life. And I'm like, that is fascinating. I want to know more about this. I want to know more about all of this. Part of it might be because I've always enjoyed the idea of playing a Dr. Frankenstein-esque character in a game or something. I've never really had a chance to play D&D itself, but the last time I did, I had plans for my next character to be, in case my current one died, would be a Dr. Frankenstein-esque character. I always liked the idea of creating stuff in that manner. And, you know, actually having it turn out for, well, it's fascinating to me. Both because I'm just I like to say I'm an amateur mad scientist, but I don't really have the qualifications to even say that. But they're like, mad scientists are like my favorite characters in fiction. Some of my favorite, not characters, character archetype in fiction. And so, of course, I sympathize, but I honestly don't understand, what was he doing wrong? Yeah, he dug a few people out of their graves, but he was creating life. And if it wasn't for that fuckhead Fritz, it probably would have turned out great. Dr. Waldman didn't exactly help matters either with his jump to, kill it, you should kill it, it's wrong, it's wrong! Because, yeah, that didn't help. Man, I'm just talking about the overall. I haven't even gone into the, details yet. I like that little opening warning, even if I don't think it would shock, or if it was released today, if it had never been released up until this point, if there had been nothing Frankenstein related up until this point, and it had been released today, no one would care. No one would care. But I still like it. Actually, that brings up another question. Was this viewed as a full-fledged horror movie back then, or did people still pity the monster even in that time? Was he viewed as this horrible figure when the movie came out, or was he just as much a tragic, pivotal one then as he is now? But yeah. Honestly, the only really creepy part for a movie that's supposedly horror was that moment when the doctor leaned up against the casket and went, he's just resting. And I'm like, okay, being a bit of a creeper there. Like, eh? I also never heard about that little hangman scene before. Oh, that was an interesting thing to see, where he sends Fritz up to cut the hanged guy loose. But I'm trying to read my own notes here, and not everything goes. It's yeah. That opening to his letter, to Dr. Frankenstein's letter, is a little weird, I have to admit. I'm not entirely sure what he's trying to say there. Like, it sounds, or more accurately, I'm not trying to get whatever double meaning is coming across. I can understand there's something there, but I'm just like, what? I did not know he was part of nobility. That his dad was baron. Of course, for most of my childhood, I always assumed he was being burnt in the windmill alongside the doctor. And the monster. I got confused there. I never watched the movie now, so all I've had are other people's bad parodies of it that have been smashed together with the sequel, and talk about one of the things I was actually hoping to see that I forgot was not in this one, but in the sequel. The blind man. Helping and even teaching Frankie. I'm like, I was gonna also even wait. How long does that have? I guess that's not in this movie. Dude, I've heard about the things. I was actually really interested in seeing it. Mostly, again, because of my attachment to the monster and his character. But, yeah. I also did not know about the meeting, and my question. Can flowers last so long? Because they mentioned how they had these orange blossoms that had been passed down 3 generations of Frankenstein weddings. I'm like, can they be preserved for that amount of time and still have them look? Supposedly they looked fresh. I'm like, huh? That was just a minor curiosity for me. I mean, there's a lot of things I didn't know about, like the wedding and everything. I didn't realize Frankenstein himself was involved in the mob chase and all that. And I'd like to address, let's get some more of that. I'm trying to understand, that was actually cut from a lot of versions of the film, which, honestly, it sounds like it would have made the monster Frankie, a lot more pitiable. I mean, that's the only truly horrible thing he's done in the movie up until that point. And even in the later points, most of what he does is self-defense and not really understanding the hold back and such. And then, he just didn't know any better. He just copied what she did with the flowers with her. And when she started screaming for help out in the water and drowned, he freaked out. He's like a mentally handicapped child in the body of a bodybuilder. He doesn't even comprehend what he's capable of, let alone things like life and death. Especially given how skewed his origins are. Which reminds me, why did they keep the monster in the dark early in the movie? Why did he have the monster in the dark for days? Why do you feel the need to do that? I'm actually curious about that. Much like how I want to know more about the Great Ray, and that no one ever mentions the Great Ray. It's always the lightning. The lightning! Lightning gives life. It's not the lightning. There's something else in the storm doing it. Why does everyone overlook that? That's actually really interesting. But how did he even track down the mansion? Which is another question of mine. Like, how do you know specifically what mansion to go to? He's never even been out of that I was about to say lighthouse. I mean windmill. And of course, the room he goes into is the one with the girlfriend, the Beyonce. And oh my, she faints. Like, I don't have a problem with the screaming and running away from him, but the fainting, she just goes, oh. Okay, no, we don't actually see her do that, but come on, woman. Did she seriously get herself so worked in a tizzy she passed out? Ugh. Also, I'd like to say Dr. Waldman was an idiot for not pumping even more that stuff into Frankie to make sure he stayed down. I'm like, do you not understand safety precautions? You didn't even bother bolting him down, for frick's sake. Ugh. And then, of course, there's the mob scene when Henry Frankenstein decides to go off on his own for raisins. He could have just stopped right after to get their attention or screamed louder. But no, he tried to confront the monster on his own, and it went about as well as it did last time. He got seriously injured, and then threw off the windmill. I'm sorry, I couldn't help but laugh. You know how people like to laugh at terrible CGI nowadays? That's basically how I feel about old-timey practical effects that look silly in black and white. Like, there's a certain level of practical effect that looks as unrealistic to me as some people find as a lot of people find CGI, and I can't help but laugh. And that scene of the mannequin or whatever smacking into the windmill, it's yeah, and then of course it ends as it classically does. Frankie supposedly burning to death in the windmill, and I mean, we know he survives to the second one, but I'm not gonna watch that yet, and also I can't actually remember how he survives. But yeah, I'll repeat what I said. I ultimately pitied him throughout this movie. Always ideas for what if, because I kind of want to know what would happen if things had turned out happier. At times I was so, I wasn't so much as paying attention to the movie as I was trying to, but I was watching it and I was noting down, but not as much. I wasn't as drawn in, like I said, because of the black and white disconnect. And at times, that disconnect was so wide, I was thinking about shit like, man, that Dark Universe stuff is stupid. But if they really had to do the Dark Universe, their own version of superhero stuff, man, they should have started with Frankenstein. No, seriously. They could have even had the anti-hero character, make it work by having it be Frankie. He kills Fritz, with even keeping some of the movie intact before changing things. Because you know how they are about writing good scripts. They could just reuse an old one. You know? Have him kill Fritz. Have that be his first of a limited number of murders. Have him be taught lying long and have a heroic streak, but have it so that whenever he does kill somebody, which he doesn't regret it in the least, because he does at his own little disconnect. And I'm like, ugh. I hadn't meant to go into that weird idea, but it was just something that was going through my head as the movie was wrapping up, because just, like I said, disconnect, black and white. The only movie I've ever been able to watch without the disconnect bothering me is our versions of the Christmas Carol. And that's just because I absolutely love every version of that play and movie. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. It was a good classic movie. I didn't enjoy it as much as I probably should have, as a lot of other people do. But as it was probably enjoyed at the time, but I enjoyed it. And yeah, it definitely does deserve to be thought of as a classic. And after that, I think I'm going to be only watching a somewhat small number of the Universal Monster movies. I want to touch on at least each monster. But after this, I think I want to watch the Frankenstein 2 just to get see that scene I wanted to see, if nothing else, with the blind man. The Mummy movies, some of them anyways, the first one with, Boris Karloff, the second one with the different mummy, the third one, which was a continuation of the second one with the second mummy, and, because the second one is ironically more iconic than the first, but there's no way I can't just watch the first, because I've heard so much good things about Boris Karloff's acting in that, and the few scenes I've seen, it looks pretty good. So, the Wolfman, Dracula, and of course the Invisible Man. After that, I don't think there's any other Universal movies I've heard of that Universal monster movies that are famous. So, yeah, I mean classic Universal monster movies. So that'll be wrapping this up. I won't be watching these all in a straight line. I might take a break out here and watch other things to do another reaction. But I want to watch these. Right, okay, that's enough of that though. If you enjoyed this video, then please like, comment, and subscribe. HighPriest signing out, and I will see you all next time, folks.